A stranger called me at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night and delivered my wife's betrayal straight to my doorstep. She didn't even know I'd found out. While she was supposedly working the night shift at her flower shop, this 23-year-old girl was about to hand me evidence of an affair that had been happening right under my nose for months. The craziest part? My wife had been so sloppy about covering her tracks that she left a secret phone with all the evidence just lying around her boyfriend's apartment. And when his girlfriend found it, she didn't just throw it away or confront him. She tracked me down, called me personally, and handed me everything I needed for divorce court. This happened to me 8 months ago, and it's the most bizarre way anyone has ever found out their spouse was cheating. But before I tell you how it all unfolded, let me ask you this. What would you do if a complete stranger called you with proof that your life was a lie? It was around 9 p.m. on a Tuesday evening when my phone rang. Unknown number. Now, my work involves dealing with a lot of people. I run a small consulting business, so my number is practically public information at this point. Half the city probably has it saved somewhere. The voice on the other end was young, female, maybe early 20s. She addressed me by my first and last name, no middle name, which struck me as oddly formal yet casual at the same time. Hi, is this Michael Thompson? I need to meet with you. Tonight, if possible. I'm sorry, who is this? And what's this regarding? That's when she said something that made my blood run cold. She gave me my wife Sarah's full name and said, "This meeting is more important for you than it is for me." Then she asked, "Is this her phone number?" and rattled off my wife's cell phone number perfectly. I felt that sinking feeling you get when you know something terrible is coming, but you don't know what it is yet. After a brief conversation where she refused to explain anything over the phone, I agreed to meet her. Something in her voice told me this wasn't a prank or a scam. She sounded nervous, but determined. Like someone who had information they didn't want to carry alone. "Where do you want to meet?" she asked. I wasn't about to invite a stranger to my house, especially when my wife was supposedly at work. There's a 24-hour convenience store on Oak Street. We can talk in the parking lot. I threw on a jacket and headed downstairs, my mind racing through possibilities. While riding down in the elevator, I considered every scenario I could think of. Did I have enemies who might want to mess with my marriage? Unlikely. Was this some elaborate scheme to get me out of the house? For what purpose? The only other possibility that made sense was that this was somehow connected to my wife. But Sarah was at work. She managed a flower shop that stayed open 24/7, and she often worked night shifts. She left for work around 6 p.m., same as always. But here's what I couldn't shake. Something about this caller's tone suggested she had information that was going to change everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I got to the store first and waited. About 10 minutes later, a taxi pulled up. Out stepped a young woman, maybe 23 years old, brown hair, wearing jeans and a college sweatshirt. She recognized me immediately, which was strange since I'd never seen her before in my life. "Michael? Thanks for meeting me. I'm Elena." She pulled out a wallet and a phone from her jacket pocket. That's when the story got interesting. "I've been living with my boyfriend for 2 years," she said. "We're both in college, we have a place together, and we're actually talking about getting married after graduation. He's got a part-time job as a delivery driver to help pay the bills." She paused, looking uncomfortable. "He works for a flower delivery service. Night shifts, mostly because that's when a lot of people want flowers delivered for special occasions and emergencies." The moment she said, "flower delivery service," every alarm bell in my head started going off. My wife worked at a flower shop. My wife worked night shifts. But I kept my mouth shut and let her continue. "While he was out on deliveries last week, I was cleaning our apartment. I found this wallet stuffed behind our couch cushions. It's not his. He's never carried a wallet like this in his life. So I opened it. She held up the wallet, and I could see there was a SIM card inside. I found this SIM card and got curious. I put it in an old phone I had lying around, and it still worked. Someone had been using this card recently. Elena handed me the old phone with the SIM card inserted. I checked the messages. There aren't many, but what's there is, well, you need to see it. I looked at the screen. There were several text message threads, all from about 2 weeks ago. The messages were explicit, talking about how incredible and intense their time together had been, and how he would need a cold shower in the middle of the night just thinking about it. But what made my heart sink was the contact name these messages were sent to: Sammy. My wife's name is Sarah. She's been Sarah her entire life. But apparently to whoever owned this secret phone, she was Sammy. The weird thing, Elena continued, is that all these contacts and messages only exist on this SIM card. When my boyfriend takes this card out of his phone, everything disappears. When he puts it in, it all comes back. It's like he has a completely separate phone identity. I scrolled through the messages, and my hands were actually shaking. These weren't just friendly texts. These were intimate messages between two people who were obviously sleeping together. But I needed to be sure. Elena, how do you know this phone number belongs to my wife? I figured you might not believe me, she said, so I did some detective work. She pulled out her own phone and showed me her boyfriend's Facebook profile. The contact is saved as Sammy, but I figured that might be a nickname for Samantha or something. So I went through his Facebook friends looking for any Samantha, Sylvia, or even Sarah, just in case. She scrolled to a profile picture, and my heart stopped. It was my wife. Unmistakably my wife, smiling in a photo I recognized from last Christmas. I remembered seeing this woman before, Elena continued. A few months ago, my boyfriend asked me to drive him to work one night because his car was in the shop. When I dropped him off at the flower shop, I saw this woman there. She was obviously the manager or owner. Everyone was taking directions from her. She clicked on my wife's profile. Once I found her Facebook page, I looked at her friends list. That's where I found you. Same last name, photos together, obviously married. And you had your phone number listed on your profile. The pieces were falling into place, and I didn't like the picture they were forming. Elena, what's your boyfriend's name? Tyler Rodriguez. I'd never heard that name before in my life. But apparently, he'd been a big part of my wife's life for who knows how long. As I stood there in that parking lot, processing everything Elena had told me, memories started flooding back. Conversations with Sarah about her work, about her desire for financial independence, about the night shifts. I remembered telling her months ago, Sarah, I appreciate that you want to earn your own money and not depend on me financially, but these night shifts you're working, if anything inappropriate is going on, that's the end of our marriage. She had looked me straight in the eye and promised that work was work, nothing more. But now I was looking at evidence that those night shifts were anything but professional. Elena, I need to ask you something. Are you absolutely sure about all this? Because what you're showing me is going to destroy my marriage. She looked at me with what I can only describe as sympathy, mixed with determination. Michael, I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years. I love him, but I also know what it feels like to be lied to. When I found this phone, I had a choice. I could confront him directly, or I could make sure the other person being hurt by this situation knew what was happening. She paused. Your wife is cheating on you with my boyfriend, and based on these messages, it's been going on for months. You deserve to know. I asked Elena if I could borrow the phone and SIM card for a day or two. She agreed, and we exchanged contact information. As her taxi drove away, I stood alone in that parking lot, holding evidence that my 7-year marriage was a lie. But I wasn't ready to confront Sarah yet. I needed to be absolutely sure, and I had an idea for how to get proof that would be undeniable. The next evening, Sarah had the night off. She was home, relaxed, sitting in her usual spot in our living room with her phone nearby. It was time for the most dramatic moment of my life. I waited until she got up to go to the kitchen. Then I positioned myself between her and the door, not in a threatening way, but so she couldn't leave the room without getting past me. She came back from the kitchen, and I was standing there with Tyler's phone in my hand. "Sarah, you've got a call." I dialed her number from his phone. Her face froze. She looked at her phone, then at me, then at the strange phone in my hand. She declined the call. So I dialed again. Her hands started shaking, her lips moved, but no words came out. I held the phone up so she could see the screen. "Calling Sammy, that's you, isn't it?" For a moment, it was like watching her soul leave her body. She staggered, breathing like she couldn't get air. That was all the confession I needed. After about 20 minutes of tears and hyperventilating in the bathroom, Sarah came back to the living room with what she claimed was a full confession. "I'll show you everything," she said, turning on her computer. She logged into her email and showed me correspondence from about 6 weeks ago. Messages between her and Tyler discussing meeting up, talking about attraction, making plans. But here's where she tried to play me for a fool. "This is all it was," she said. "Nothing serious happened. We just talked online. Those text messages you saw were about virtual encounters, just photos and video calls. We never actually did anything physical. He's just a delivery driver at the shop. We barely even see each other in person." She was trying to minimize it, to make it sound like some innocent online flirtation that got slightly out of hand. But I've been married for 7 years, and I know my wife. More importantly, I know people. When someone admits to a small betrayal to hide a bigger one, it's obvious. Sarah, you're telling me that you and this 23-year-old guy exchanged explicit photos and had virtual encounters, but during your night shifts together at the flower shop, you just drank coffee and ignored each other? She nodded desperately. "That's exactly what happened. I swear." I looked at her and realized that even in the face of undeniable evidence, she was still lying to me. The divorce was filed 3 weeks later. The apartment stayed with me since it was in my name, but the car we'd bought together before we were married went to her. Since I couldn't prove how much I'd contributed to the payments, legally, it was considered joint property. The ironic part? Tyler broke up with Elena when he found out she'd exposed the affair. So Sarah lost her marriage for a relationship that didn't even survive the revelation. Elena, on the other hand, dodged a bullet. She found out her boyfriend was a cheater before they got married, not after. Looking back, I want to address something that people might think. That I shouldn't have let my wife work night shifts if I didn't trust her. But here's the truth. If someone wants to cheat, they'll find a way to do it. It doesn't matter if they work nights, days, or from home. The night shifts weren't the problem. The problem was that my wife made a choice to betray our marriage. You can't keep a partner locked up to prevent cheating. The only real way to know someone's character is to give them freedom and see what they do with it. In my case, Sarah showed me exactly who she really was. And Elena, a complete stranger, showed me more honesty and integrity in one phone call than my wife had in months of lying to my face. If you've ever been in a situation where someone's betrayal was revealed by the most unexpected source, let me know in the comments. These stories need to be told. And if you've got a story of your own about discovering infidelity in the most bizarre circumstances, send it my way. You'll find my contact details in the description. Sometimes the truth comes from the most unlikely places. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned because the next story might just make this one look tame.